I mean, all these things are already there in a way, and saying something what will happen in 6 years doesn't sound like so far away. But to have those innovations, to have that kind of dynamic environment, one of the key things is human capital. And when we are talking about human capital, we are talking exactly about young talents. We are talking also here today, this morning, how to foster, how to empower young innovations, and as particularly, I think, this new digital generation, Generation Z, to put, let's say, in front line of the development of Adria region. So it's really my pleasure to have these 4 people with me and with you today. So let's start immediately with the tough question, because talking about human capital and young people and generation, this digital generation, is a bit, I would say, sour topic, because most of those talents are leaving the region, the countries, and I will not give you any statistics, neither of the wish or actual number, but it's something that is happening on an everyday basis. So I would start with Professor Ernest, asking a little bit, just maybe from your professional also background, what we can see and say about brain drain, what are the main causes, and I will not immediately jump on the question how to find solution, but at least let's start with a little bit analyzing this phenomena in the region.
Well, I was part of that brain drain, I would say, problem that is facing up. But at the end of the story, here I am. So probably I will come to that. I will come to that at the end of my discussion. Indeed, I was Googling a little bit this morning. Croatia, together with Albania and Bosnia and Herzegovina, probably they are struck the most with the issues of the brain drain. And well, the main reason, of course, is, I would say, the economic benefits that our youngsters are having by draining to some other countries or some other regions. That is for sure the first reason. The other reasons they are looking for better life somewhere else, fulfilling your professional self in the areas where you really cannot do. For example, in Silicon Valley, you can really be whatever you want. Unlike Silicon Valley, probably you can't be the same here. And there are some other reasons. For example, you are dissatisfied with a political and corruption situation in your country, and that drives then your motive to just run away from that situation. But that is not only the case in this area. So I've been really working and teaching all around the world. The similar problem are having even Italy, Spain, Portugal. I mean, they have brain drain as not probably as at the intensity that we have, but they have that problem. And I can tell you my personal story, which is almost incredible. So what happened? You know, the best of the best in mathematics and physics and whatever from this area are then dreaming to go to studies, and they do their studies in Cambridge. And they're really, I mean, the Olympic mathematical teams and all of them are really picked, and they are drafted, and they do their studies in Cambridge. One of them was my son. And what happened? In just a few years before Brexit, they have been selected. I would say 5 from Serbia and 5 from Croatia. They have been financed heavily by the UK government. And they all finished their masters there in Cambridge. So now you have the creme de la creme of the mathematics from this area here. And what happened? Brexit came out abruptly, and so they couldn't offer them the same conditions that probably the Swiss did after that. So the Swiss country, or the Switzerland, came with 56,000 Swiss francs. You have the employee status. You will do your PhD. You will have the best of the economy and industrial conditions. So all of them, 10 of them, just brain drained from the UK. You can imagine, from the UK to Switzerland. So probably the brain drain is also connected at the highest level, at the best of the best level, with conditions that you might encounter or you might be offered in some other countries. So, but I don't see the brain drain as a big problem, maybe as it's described. We have, because in our strategies, national strategies or policies, we have to be socially innovative. So how to use that incredible force of diaspora that we have. I've been in California last week. We have fantastic people there. So why don't we find a way how to engage these people in our economic ecosystems? Why don't we come with socially innovative solutions? For example, I have one. Why don't we pay them an yearly airplane ticket to just come back and to cooperate with our academia, institutions, startups, whatever, high-techs. And I'm sure that everyone, or almost everyone, will be happy with one airplane ticket just to come back and engage with our academia. I mean, this is one solution. I remember Croatia has, 10 years ago, has had one program. We used to call it Unity Through Knowledge, where we identified the best or those who are willing to get back, and we just prepare through the World Bank, through the different instruments, we prepare the return or comeback options for them to start their life in Croatia. So we don't have this anymore, but we can still think on the same level. So I wouldn't see, I'm not looking at the brain drain as such a big problem. I mean, this is business as usual, I would say. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks. I mean, thanks that you also started with this identification of the key causes, as you said in the beginning, and there are mutual different reasons and factors that influence. But also, I think this emphasis on the other side of the topic, that maybe it's not the best thing for the countries, but in the same time it's a good opportunity in case that you also figure out how to bring them back with social innovations, as you mentioned, and different approaches. We will come back to this topic also, but you said also a little bit about these movements and brain drain and brain gain here, and Tamara is exactly the example as someone who left when was 16, Montenegro, and then 25 years later you are back in the region even as a minister. So can you tell us about that experience and maybe link it with Ernest, exactly how we can create the environment to use that potential that is in diaspora and outside?
Thank you, Jan. Super grateful and humbled to be here and on a stage with the humans I admire you very much. So I just want to, like a professor, reframe this concept around brain drain and also speak from my personal perspective, as you said, what I believe benefited me as a human, as a leader, and then ultimately has allowed me to better contribute to my home country. And so leaving isn't bad if it amounts to personal growth and learning, as you said. So my beginnings away from Montenegro were kind of rough. It was 1999. I left as exchange student in high school. I was fit with a host family, lived in a garage without any air conditioning. It was back in a day where Skype wasn't even a thing. So I've spent my monthly allowance to buy a phone card so I can be connected with my family. But now in exceedingly remote first world after COVID, the reality has changed. And most of my now teaching engagements are remote friendly. Most of my teams work in distributed ways, so the times have changed. But when I'm asked, especially by young people, to support them or provide direction or share my experience, I tell them to spread their wings and go after the journey that will allow them to understand their personal why, their personal North Star, what energizes them. Because ultimately, if we go after that purpose, we will be better humans, and ultimately we'll be able to bring back to our home country. So usefulness and meaning is, I believe, what drives motivation. And so I personally ask every young person on my team is, what's their personal why? And I try to connect that, align that with the why of our organization. Or in my case, my personal why was very much about contributing back to my home country. And so if some of you read Alchemist, Santiago, the boy that dreamt about the treasure, went all around the world, went back to the place where he dreamt the dream. And so one of the efforts or passions of mine is to help the folks who left Montenegro. I've lived outside of Montenegro for a long time. At times I was very lonely, even though I had many opportunities for growth. But right now I'm going to talk a little bit later about Rebel Alliance, but it is an opportunity that will allow folks from all around the world to come to our region and to contribute back to the governments, but also will connect people from diaspora. We are intentionally structuring opportunities and problems at the city level, at the federal level, at all of the governments in Western Balkans and Adriatic, and then we are plugging people in. Sometimes they will work remotely, but it will all be around their passion, their purpose, their core competencies, the talents that make them feel energized. And so we will connect their talents with the problem that needs to be solved on the ground. So, thank you.
Thank you. I have a sub-question, in fact, because Professor said, let's be, even on a simple level, give opportunity for someone outside, like with a ticket, etc., which is a good way, even with that ticket, to come here on ESG Summit and for networking. But for me, when you came here as someone who for a long time was living in another world, let's call it like that, what would be also maybe the main motivation besides the emotional part, etc., but on concrete level, like what is a good thing to be incentive for you coming here and staying here, working here, or going further with your life also connected with the region? And in the same time, opposite question is, what was the thing that basically kills that idea and is shocking here than in other part where you are? So, but just briefly, as incentives to come and things that are changing your decision to basically return back, not to stay.
Well, yeah, I did my brain training for, I would say, 10 years. And, well, the wealth that I accumulated and having the knowledge that probably we are living in the most beautiful part of the world, when you combine these two things, then things are not difficult after that. I mean, you can also find beautiful opportunities here to work, to produce, to be active, to just, you know, okay, but probably if we now discuss with the audience, we'll find many different positions and opinions about that. But as I said, accumulated wealth and having a feeling that here is I would say the most beautiful part with opportunities, because we have to search for the opportunities. We do not just have to criticize things. So this was the combination that drove me back.
Okay, with your last word, opportunities, I will come to Amina asking, when you, from that youth perspective, looking around and your peers, colleagues, young people around, do they see opportunities here, or what kind of opportunities they see and seek outside? Because we are talking about really enormous number of those who are leaving. So what would be your, let's say, position on brain drain.
On brain drain and brain gain.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just preface this, that even myself being at this panel with these exceptional people, and this being my first panel, is a step in the right direction. So funny you mentioned ChatGPT. I immediately Googled what do you say at the panel, and it gave me all this list of things that I should mention, so I prepared, obviously.
Thanks, GPT.
But to be quite honest, as I was speaking with so many kind people in this room, my colleagues and friends, they all told me speak from the heart. So that's exactly what I'll do, try to do, so sorry if it's bad. Well, I will maybe start with building up what you have already said. We have been discussing this, and while I do completely agree about the importance of diaspora in the context of brain gain, I do see it as a sort of a mitigation between the actual issue, what it is. And I'll use this opportunity to maybe dispel a myth about the youth. It's not that we really want to leave the region for so many better opportunities. Of course, as the professor eloquently discussed, there are also economic reasons and societal reasons. But beyond that, for us, sun is not warmer or shinier in Spain, and we do not go for the amazing techno clubs in Berlin. Why we leave is because we feel, in a sense, marginalized and sort of like an afterthought in a wider government or policy initiatives. What I mean by that is that youth in this region truly is not considered as a first factor. So we deal with the consequences. We have high brain drain, and of course, like I said, it is important to kind of offer opportunities to bring the youth back, but let's give them opportunities to not leave in the first place. What do I mean by that? When you look at the youth policies from the region, we do have them. That's a positive thing. However, in some cases, they are inconsistent. They do not have concrete and meaningful measures, because a lot of the time, to be quite honest, youth is really not considered in a decision making. A lot of these decisions are made behind the doors that are actually closed and unacceptable for them. So I would say that would be the first step. It sends you a message, to be quite honest, when your government is not putting you on the forefront, when you're not the top priority in terms of policy, in terms of initiatives, in terms of everything that actually concerns you. So that would be, like I said, the first step. Give us a reason to stay, because we want to stay. We just need to feel included and not marginalized in this sense. Maybe I'll use this opportunity to dispel one more myth about the youth. Apart from, I'm sure, this room, in so many instances, youth, and when we discuss this like NextGen or this Gen Z generation, these labels, while they are important to kind of identify different generational experiences of, for instance, how my life differs from previous generations and how generations that are coming after me they are going to have different experiences. It's important for us to understand those specific contexts. However, I do oftentimes hear in the public discourse these labels being used as sort of a way of a division. So in a sense, we tend to look at it like a battle between generations, which I do not feel needs to be as such. With this panel, maybe let's try to break that narrative. That would be the one thing, and offer a consolidated image for the future. What I mean by that is I would like to kind of focus on bridges that really unite us, because many of the issues, underlying issues why the youth leaves in the first place, concern both me, my mother, and my grandmother, and are hopefully not concern my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please. I like that you emphasize the youth voice and youth participation in this topic as a very important. And 20 few years ago, Dušan and some young guys, activists in Novi Sad, were exactly, I think, combining something from last night here, which is the music and creativity and with the youth voice. And we came out with that, let's say, youth concrete action becoming, through all these 2 decades, as a champion in creative industry in the region. When we mention exit festivals, not festival, as a plural, in fact. So Dušan, you didn't go, I mean, at that moment outside, at least you were most of the time here, but what was the, let's say, your experience and what are the ingredients needed not to have exception only, but something that really strategically can be done for youth-led initiatives, as Amina said, to be heard, but in the same time, they can produce, as you showed very well, something even in business, but in development, in bridging and bringing people together around creativity, music here. So let's hear also what we can learn from that story.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Amina and all the team for organizing this conference. This topic is super important, especially for us, having in mind that we are not a company that developed social responsibility sector through the years. We started as a youth movement for peace and democracy in Serbia and Balkans. And our foundation is active almost as the same as the festival itself. So the first thing I want to say is that, firstly, I agree that with Amina that brain drain is an issue. There is opportunity, of course, coming with diaspora support, but it is an issue. It's a very important issue and crucial issue that we need to tackle. And one of the first things, in order to tackle it, we need to give hope to the youth. We need to give them a concrete vision. Because especially since the 90s of the last century, they lost faith that they can have a sustainable future in their countries. And politicians still are not helping to change this narrative. So we need to give them a vision. And firstly, we need to create or empower the policies that support youth entrepreneurship and social activism. And secondly, I would suggest mapping the best examples of success stories of youth-grown projects, organizations, or businesses, and to not just to showcase them as success stories, but to mobilize them to create a network that will support youth-led initiatives. And then with the connection between government, academia, and the business sector, we need to create an environment that will foster creativity. And this is the key. This is the key moment. Because we live in an era which is unprecedented in human history. The changes that technology is driving is beyond anything that we could imagine just 10 or 15 years ago. For instance, the amount of change that needed to happen 2 centuries ago, that needed to took like 150 years. 20 years ago, it took 10 years. And now with AI, it can take 1 year for the same amount of change. And in 5 years, it will take a month. And in 20 years, it will take a week. And while this future can look frightening to some, for the societies like we have in this region is the biggest opportunity for us to use the 4th industrial revolution to take a quantum leap. And with all of this creative potential that is not used, we are not using 1% of the creative potential of the people here, which is enormous. And if we can raise this energy and from the potential energy, put it into startups, into organizations, we can become, and I'm saying this I'm certain of it, that we can become one of the leading regions in Europe. And if for some this looks like utopia, for instance, Scandinavia, 100 years ago, was one of the poorest regions in Europe. And then they used the 3rd industrial revolution to take the quantum leap, and they are now one of the most developed societies, not in the Europe, but in the whole world. So we can definitely learn from these examples, and I'm very optimistic, but only if we create a network that will combine all key stakeholders to create this vision, and that we all align behind that vision, and then just leave it for the new generations, it will happen.
Thank you very much. I fully agree with this first message you mentioned about hope and creating hope. It's not just preaching about different things, but exactly as you said further on, creating the environment that is supporting this innovative process, and also linking and networking with all stakeholders. I mean, these three things that you mentioned are very good fitting. You also opened two topics. One about this with Amina, youth participation, and when we talk about environment, also we are dealing with democracy, and I mean, without peace and stability, it's difficult to talk about businesses, investments, etc. So I will take that part as the next question in direction of Tamara, and then the second one you open more about business opportunities and economical part. So let's stick, Tamara, to this democratic first part and the role of young people. From your experience, how we can basically, I will not say use, but how we can have young people in place to a little bit more be influential when it comes to this democratic part of the topic that we say, to create, first of all, preconditions for environment for what we are talking here, innovations and development. So please, Tamara.
Thank you, Anne. I'm still under a big impression of what Amina said, still goosebumps. But I firmly believe that leadership is a mindset and not a title. But also that the Gen Z and Gen Alpha generation, they have a stronger sense of autonomy and social responsibility. And they also like to get their hands dirty. They often are the crowd of hands, not just the crowd of voices. They don't just criticize, they get involved and get things done. So as a passionate serial public servant, I've sort of tried to build an environment in which we fostered that energy, that possibility-focused energy, entrepreneurial mindset. And I've intentionally created spaces both in the United States and here to bring in the voices of young leaders to help shape our policies and strategies. I believe also in that sense that every government, whether it's the 5th largest economy in the world, the government of California, or the tiny country of Montenegro in Western Balkans, we have the similar problem of implementation crisis, even if we bake policies and strategies to be purposeful and effective. We are stifled in terms of implementation, walking the walk. And so bringing in the young talents, young leaders to both help us inform these strategies and policies, but also implement them is what I was sort of fighting and focusing on for the past decade. And so in my bag, I often take my Montenegrin flag with me, but I am a big advocate for being the crowd of hands. So in the United States, we in both Obama's administration and government of California, we pulled in both students and young leaders from community to help shape our policies. Most recently, actually a month ago, in California government, we were sort of addressing the mental health crisis. And I'm not sure if any of you have heard this book, but it's a good one to read. It's called In the Anxious Generation. Social psychologist, Jonathan Haynes lays out a fact about the epidemic of teen mental illness that has been driven by the mass adoption of smartphones, advent of social media, and addictive online gaming. And he calls it the great rewiring of childhood. The children are spending ever less time socializing in person, ever more time glued to their screens, with girls more likely to be sucked into the self-esteem, a crushing vortex, and boys more likely to become hooked to the gaming. And so the governor of California and our team has engaged the youth to help design both the programs and the policies around this. In the government of Montenegro, we brought in a lot of young leaders to help shape our public administration reform strategy. Another example that I can provide is, but this was a couple of years ago, you might have had this on your radar, when a key kind of policy was overturned, Roe versus Wade, the landmark decision that the states could not ban abortion. It was overturned, and so the governor of California has made California the haven, the safe space for women to come. And so we created a website in about a month, but we relied on both the insights and we co-designed with people who were affected by this, making sure that young women's voices are being heard, making sure that this website is designed with privacy concerns. And so both in designing policies and programs, there is ways to involve youth in Western Balkans because of such high mistrust in government. Oftentimes we use our voices and criticism as levers to make government more effective, but I will not give up on creating spaces for amazing young leaders to be a part of the government, because this is the only way we can make government more effective. So hope I answered your question. Yeah.
No, thanks for concrete examples. I mean, both from US and here, because I think this topic, talking about youth policies or about young people without young people is impossible, particularly today. And with all this technology, it gives more options and opportunities. So that part was something very concrete that can help us also on this solution part of the panel. I will move now from this general participation topic to economy. And when we are talking with young people today and students, one of the data for me was always scary. And it says that the students today, before retirement, that probably they will never have as we know it, what does it mean to be retired, and pension, they will change 17 jobs, but 5 professions. And some of those professions that are still not discovered. So we have to teach young people for jobs that don't exist yet. So this kind of challenge, as you mentioned very well with this development, how fast we are changing, as never before in humankind, is something that is really challenge. I mean, as obviously, and up to 2030, which is very soon, 1/3 of all labor force will be Generation Z. So this is something that needs also certain solutions when we come to this, what Dušan started and opened as a topic for creating this environment for new businesses, but also maybe totally new solutions when it comes to economical, let's say, processes. So Professor, maybe we can use you here on this topic, how to understand, but in direction of particularly what can be done. What we are maybe too late or not for those solutions and ways how to use that as an opportunity, not only as a challenge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is very striking information that we are going to change, not me probably, but you are going to change a lot of jobs and professions. But again, here is my example. In my life, I've changed 8 jobs and 8 professions since now. And they are completely different. From, I would say, from the Navy official that used to sleep on this position here 42 years ago in barracks at the place where the Hotel Regent is, up to what I'm doing now, and I'm now university professor, and all in between were 8 changes of my career path. I'm with a basic education. I'm an electrical engineer, and now I'm teaching completely different things. I am still linked with innovation. So, true, we will have to be adaptable, and we will have to change our career paths in the whole our range of work, and that creates an incredible challenge also for the educators. So you don't know exactly now in which sense and what and how to educate, and we are feeling that challenge on our universities. I'm teaching either in Croatia and Serbia and even some other countries. And what are we trying? We are now trying to fight that disruption by innovating again our programs. For example, on our faculty in Belgrade, FEFA, we have introduced a completely new program. We are calling it Business 5.0. So we are now blending all the best, and we are trying really to tackle all the challenges that might be projected, what the youngsters are going to tackle in the next 20 or 30 years. But as I said, this is very difficult. It's not easy, and it poses challenges also to us as a professors. So what should we do also? We should also start to run faster than our predecessors, you know. So we as a professors, we should probably be much more and much actively involved with our society, with our economy, with our challenges that we have in the economies. And the professors probably, as in California, that do not comply with that philosophy, they will probably be unwanted, and they will probably be out of business soon. So it's a really big challenge, and the academia has really to run faster as the rest of the economy has to do, you know.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's definitely needed or must, I would say, if we want to keep the educational system and academia on board, and also more interesting or useful than, you know, TikTok and some other things that are now competing with formal education, at least on time investment, etc., for young people. These last few days, I really have a privilege, together with Amina, to meet and learn a lot from 8 remarkably young people who are here, and they are part of this new NextGen program as a part of ESG Adria Summit. So can you just wave? I know that, these are 8 of them, and I'm very much motivating you also to network during coffee breaks and some other parts of the program. But I will ask Amina more why ESG and how ESG Adria Summit basically invested in this topic, and what you are thinking to get with direct cooperation with young people, and what you learned also maybe through these few days with them.
Yeah, thank you so much, and also thank you for your hard work on the NextGen program. So from the get-go at the ESG Adria Summit, we knew that youth and meaningful youth in kind of connection was really important for us, for our goal. I mean, business of the future cannot be a real thing without the youth. On that end, we did always have students and young people at the summit. And too much to that end that we can actually thank the professors here and their amazing students from the FEFA faculty who are also joined us this year and are helping us immensely. But with the NextGen program, what we wanted to do is kind of create this unique experience for them to not only participate at panels, presentations, but to actually get to meet and really discuss with the world leaders, with the government officials, with sustainability experts, to really network with them, but also to get their advice, which are really important in these first few steps of their careers. To that end, Jan and I had the opportunity to pick 8 amazing individuals from the countries of the region, who are each in their own right really unique and really expert in various different fields. So we made sure to actually get a bit of everything, a bit of expertise, and kind of try to offer, like I said, this unique experience. So while they were participating at the regular program of the summit, they also had yesterday an opportunity to meet with Ms. Mogherini, Rector of the College of Europe. Just after this panel, they will get to meet with Robert Spano, former president of the European Court of Human Rights, and Ms. Dunja Mijatović, former commissioner of human rights of Council of Europe. But last and not least, with my address, I kind of want to speak to all of you. This program will last throughout the summit, but each one of you here at the room have your own power that you can share with the next generation. And what do I mean by that? I know you're all busy with your everyday work and your everyday life. You're busy in your careers. Everybody at the summit that I met so far was really unique and really great in what they do. What I ask of you now is maybe when you go back to your work, look around. Look around at the people working with you. Maybe there is one person, young person, currently insecure, trying to find a path, and maybe you can offer a bit of mentorship. That would be my message to all of you, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I mean, as one part of the checkout and concrete checkout from this panel is good suggestion, as you said, and these, I think, connections among all of us here is something that I think is the most important for further our work and professional life. I would like to close this discussion with Dušan on another question. We were mostly talking about two things, about, okay, new generation here from the region, coming back, being empowered, etc. And the second aspect was this environment, but in the same time, I will not say we forgot, but I would like not to forget, is the question also of others who can contribute the region and who are maybe not from Adria region, but how can we become not only the region of, let's say, at the moment, young people leaving, maybe we are going in direction of comeback mode, but also how we can attract other talents from even outside, not only diaspora, but generally young people. And I heard a little bit before this panel started that there are also some new initiatives coming from your crew and your team. So maybe we can also conclude this as creating the region also attractive for talents in general for our development and that purpose. So please.
Thank you. It's again about hope. If we give a vision to the region that it can become, and we call it creative heaven, where all the creatives in the region, but also outside, can, in an amazing environment, as you said, now that you're back in Croatia, in the region, that we have incredible natural, human, and other resources for people to really enjoy living here. And if we create this vision, basically creative people from all around the world would love to come here to live here. For instance, Belgrade a decade ago was voted by freelancers as the best city in the world for them. And then instead of the government implementing policies that will motivate people to come even more, they introduces a tax system that demotivates anybody to do freelancing in Serbia, for instance. So this is not the way to go. The way to go is, as I was speaking, creating this environment, and that is why we are starting with a project that I feel most passionate about, in the last 2 decades, is giving this vision for the region that it can be a creative heaven, that it can be one of the most developed regions in the world. And in the heart of this project is something that we call creative villages. Because nowadays all the countries are fighting for the talent, and for instance, countries like Saudi Arabia is investing $500 billion to build a city of neon, just in order to attract the best talent from all over the world. But if you know Gen Z, and I have to know Gen Z and millennials and everybody, because Exit and all other projects depends on that. If you know them, it's not all about the money. Money has to be there, that's for sure, but that is not the priority. The priority is the power of idea. And if we can create creative communities that are around it, that are blended with nature, that are, we call it the project Made in Balkans for the New Earth. So all of these communities that people like this can communicate, work together, create together, that is the way to go. And we will announce this project at Creative Gate conference that we are doing with British Council in November in Belgrade. And our plan is to present this project fully by the Expo 27. And our dream is that countries in the region, including Montenegro, I spoke before with the Prime Minister as well, and also key stakeholders in Serbia, to build some of these communities already by then. So this is one of the ways to go, how we can not just keep young people here, but also attract others. And I will just say one more thing about the Brain Dam, the real life example. When we started our festival in Croatia, it's in Umag, beautiful city, and one of the biggest hotel groups in Croatia are basically invited us to do a festival, to fill the rooms. Basically, they had a period in May where they need filling the rooms. And when I am advocating and speaking with destinations why they need festival, there is always two things: bring tourism money and destination branding. And then the CEO of the hotel group said, yeah, these are important, but what the most important for me is that by having festival connected with my hotel group, it will be easier for me to attract young talents into my company. And for me, that was, wow, that was really something new. So this is the real life example that how important was for him to create an environment inside his company that can be a nurturing environment for young people.
Thank you very much. Also with this, let's say, like small trailer of new happenings soon that are very interesting, and I think very, very good examples what can be done and will be done. When it comes to the time, there was one research saying that millennials, that we are in that kind of age group, we have attention span 12 seconds. For Generation Z, it dropped down to 8 seconds. Just for one generation, and I think this concept of ESG, so it's probably even less. So I think the ESG Adria Summit did good jobs in one way. Difficult for me as a moderator to not give us too much time and to have only 40 minutes for panel and discussion, but with some kind of check out what we heard here about this, how to create Adria region as a creative heaven, with the hope, with youth voice, with possibility and motivation for brain gain, and also, as Professor said, changing also from academia and some other aspects to create a very fostering environment. And thank you very much for joining this first morning panel, most difficult one always. And I hope not only that we at least inspired some discussions, but that we also motivate people to talk about this topic in coffee breaks, in the evenings, in this balcony, on smoking breaks, and to network, which we all somehow emphasized as a very important tool. So please give applause to our speakers.